For those that don't know you, we should probably tell people your name and what you do. Give us your name and your background occupation, please, sir.
Okay. My name's Sean Smith, S-E-A-N. I'm an automotive designer, and I specialize in the bespoke automotive industry and one-off hot rod custom scene.
Yes, sir. Yes, you do. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, coming up, we have Grand National Roadster Show.
Yes.
Big one every year.
Right. Yeah.
Curious, because I know you in a lot of times in these bigger shows, it's not which car, but how many do you have? Because oftentimes you have multiple vehicles that you've designed. How about Grand National coming up?
Well, Grand National, for sure. I mean, I have two cars in my booth. I'm doing a booth in Building 4. Traditionally, I've always had a booth. This year, the booth is going to be a little bit bigger. So we got Twisted GTO from Steve Aguilar, which everybody knows, I think.
Yeah.
My heavy involvement working with Steve on that. And then we have Dave Salvaggio's Cuda that debuted in the MagnaFlow booth at SEMA.
Yes.
Did a lot of the interior work on that, engine-based stuff with a few other people. Obviously, this is a collaboration project with Gary Regal did the exterior.
Yep.
So, looking forward to it. Grand National is always a good one. I was thinking about it this morning. I've been going to Grand National since it was up in Oakland.
Wow. How long ago was it up there?
I mean, the show's been around since 1948.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
It's insane.
This is still going on.
It's in the way I think John Buck, with the way they've nurtured it with Bob from ARP, with Sloniker and, Suede, all the different things they've refined that show from what it's been. It's always been a great show. It was great when it was in Oakland. My birthday's in February, so I think the show used to be in February, but for my birthday present, my parents would always give me tickets and airline tickets to go. I could bring one friend. I think it was like 14.
Oh my! And they would just send you guys off?
No. It would be my dad and his friend, and then my friends, and then we'd all go, and then it would be like 20 of us. And I
was trying to picture you at 14 plus one of your pals.
Oh, and my pal
We're
was
going
always,
to Oakland by ourselves.
It was always Andy from Flying Iron Designs. He always went, and but yeah, we'd leave at like 5 a.m, and then we'd get into Oakland, and we'd have breakfast. We'd do the show, and then we'd leave at 8 p.m. and be back at like 10. And
right on.
Yeah, that was the show for years. And then when it was like a little bit of transition with it, it went to the Cow Palace. I think it got under new owners, and then somehow John brought it back. John Buck brought it back down here. And he's just done a tremendous job. And I'm really looking forward. Last year I took it off because I was working on the McDonald's project.
Right.
The Cuda. The Cuda for McDonald's. I took it off. I was very busy. But this year...
I got to go to a party because of that car.
What party?
The Beverly Hills Music Festival party, something like that. I forgot what it was for, but the McDonald's car.
It was a Grammy party.
It was a Grammy party. And
the car was supposed to get done there, and I didn't even get the invite to that.
So, so I met Jeff Littman, or Joel Littman, the tow guy. I met him there, and then I drove the car. I drove the car in there, and then I just snuck in with the hamburger helper guy. Well, not hamburger helper, the hamburger.
Yeah.
They were all like, "Sir, do you have a wristband?" I'm like, I'm with him. And I just walked into the party, and I saw all these like famous people and shit walking around. I was like, "This is fucking dope."
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
The car was, it was to be completed for that and a few other things around this time. I think some Super Bowl stuff and kind of to redefine, what McDonald's is doing with hotter, tastier burger campaign or something. Anyways, what goes better than hamburgers and hot rods, right? So
it was cool. The Hamburglar was handing out cheeseburgers at the party, and it was cool.
Really?
It was fun. Yeah.
I remember they called me on December 23rd, and I was at my family's house visiting, and they're like, "Yeah, we want you to do a car for McDonald's," and I was like, I kind of hung up. I was like, my dad was like, "Who was that?" And I was like, "I don't know, somebody wanted to do a car with McDonald's." That was a prank call, He's like, "You better call him back." And so I called him back, and they're like, "No, we're serious. We want to do this." I'm like, "Hey, when does it have to be done by?" And they're like, "Oh, like January 15th." And I'm like, "Oh gosh." And so I'm like, I call them back. I'm like, "Listen, we do this, and you want to do a muscle car, and it's got to be McDonald's branded. Like, let's do a later model car. Like, let's do a Hellcat or a Demon.
Make it easy,
yeah,
right?
I think Demon 170 was wrapping up around that time, and we could do something with the Demon, the Dodge guys, and
because you only had a few weeks on it, right? Wasn't
we only had
short?
2 weeks to design, render, build, everything, right?
Yeah.
So they come back and they're like, no, we don't want to do we want to do like a 70 Cuda. And I'm like, okay. I go, literally, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to give us funds, and we're going to have to buy one on December 26th. So I called UL. The only person I know that would have a Cuda or a few options was UL.
Yeah.
I called UL on Christmas Day. You know, you gave me his call. I mean, I knew UL, but you linked me up with him over at Fusion. Yeah, he's great. And UL's like, yeah, come down, meet me first thing like 7 a.m. You know, he's like, I'll pull a few things out of the storage. And he had a Cuda, he had a couple Challengers.
This guy's got everything, dude.
Yeah, he's got
seriously
his inventory.
And if he doesn't have it, he'll get it for you.
If he doesn't
that
have
day.
it, he'll get it for you. And he knows a guy that knows a guy.
Yeah.
And so, I called him back and I was like, okay, we got a pretty nice 70. It's a lot of money though. I don't want to say how much. And they were like, yeah, that's cool. We'll do that. The only way we could have done it too is in that color scheme was to wrap it, you know. So we wrapped the whole car. I designed it. I mean, I did a lot of renderings. I did like a ton of renderings and design work. And then we had about a week and a half to just build it.
Hey, Josh, while he's talking about it, can you pull up a still of it? Hamburglar Cuda.
Probably one of the most coolest things about it was the name I came up with was Burger Cuda.
Burger Cuda,
yeah,
that's right.
I remember that. And you had the hamburger warmers. They were fake, obviously, but it looked like hamburger warmers in the center console.
Yeah, so they wanted that kind of incorporated in it. And SoCal Rods did the interior in it. They did a really good job. So as soon as I took ownership of the car, I stripped the interior, gave that to SoCal.
Sick
It's
car.
so cool.
Look at the hamburger warmers.
In the center console with cheeseburgers in there. Mm-hmm. That had to be, I got to imagine, even though it was a tight timeline, it's so cool too. I love just seeing again the prison uniform going on the seats, you know. That had to be a fun one for you because you got to be totally creative and out of your usual box you live in.
Yes and no. I mean, I wanted to be careful because I didn't want to be
tacky.
Yeah. You know, I don't like theme cars, technically.
Look at that. It's so good.
I don't like theme cars, technically. But if we do look back, there are a few theme cars that really are huge in our pop culture. And I know it's a weird one, but like Harry Bentley Bradley, who's an amazing car designer, was a longtime teacher at Art Center College of Design, instrumental in the beginning years of Hot Wheels, GM, but he designed the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, and so like I know that's, you know,
what car is that? What is the Wienermobile?
I want to say it's on a
with?
Have you seen it? Have you ever seen it in person?
I've seen it in person. What do they start with?
It's gigantic.
I think it's got to be in a motorhome. Yeah, it's got to be in a motorhome chassis or something like that.
It's a Winnebago.
It's a big, massive wiener.
Yeah.
Sean knows a lot about that. Look at that. That's Sean's favorite car. Sean's the glizzy gobbler.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Just
too much?
no.
He barely learned what a glizzy was the other day.
Yeah, he just learned glizzy.
Yeah.
And he takes loads of glizzy
Not to go too far off, but have you heard these young guys, some of the shit they say? They use words for one totally out of context, like, oh, that was so Sigma, but it was actually Alpha. But they're going Sigma. But have you heard some of their words they're using these days? Like, do you know what it is if you're gooning?
No, I don't hear Sean's mic.
How come Sean's mic's dead? Sean,
I'm back.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have all these words, gooning and like, oh, that was so Sigma and
You don't know what gooning is?
mewing.
No, I don't. I have a feeling I don't
use
want
those
anything
words.
to know what that word.
I didn't want to go too far off the rails here, but it's crazy because they have all these words that concerns me for the future of their generation.
Well, let's just say
where people
Sean
won't
locks
be able
himself
to-
in the bathroom at night and he's gooning for a while.
Oh, okay. Got you.
We got it now.
I think I got it now.
Yeah, so back to the design world though. But so you have, and your booth this year is different in where in the past you've had like your artwork renderings and stuff that people could purchase.
No, well, a little bit. I mean, back when I used to do the show a long time ago, I tried to do that. I'm going to be doing more of that in the future. I think trying to bring some merchandise, like selling my artwork and stuff. But for now, I'm really concentrating on the translation of the end product of what I do, which is having the artwork in the booth with the car in the booth.
Which is such a cool idea, dude. I've never seen that with you. You see it on social media where you'll see a rendering of your car and then the final
like
version,
a rendering into reality type
which is
thing.
so great to see. But it's going to be I'm stoked. And those two cars, those are special cars, man.
They're great. Yeah, they're great cars. And I'm lucky to work with people that, you know, take my drawings and let me work with them and their team to translate from 2D to 3D And it's, you know, I love doing the sketches. I think it's less about the sketches and more about the translation and getting the car on the road. I think, like I always say, you don't see sketches go down the road, you see cars. So you have to always be thinking in three-dimensional space in your head. Sometimes even like you could just do a thumbnail drawing and be off to the races with a car. But it's nice to work with every aspect of the team, from fabricators to 3D modelers to interior teams, to help everybody execute the grand vision.
Yeah.
So, how old were you when you designed your first car that actually became a car?
Well, an art center we started, I mean, it wasn't a real car, but like...
Well, how about a custom car? Like first car that you designed on Sketch that actually got built and went down the road. Do you remember the first one?
I mean, there was some small time stuff like before I went to art center that like, hey, design my, you know, do a drawing with my car with flames or something like that, you know, back when I was kind of like in the amateur days, but probably... Full build.
Ring Brothers?
Yeah, maybe. Ring Brothers Reactor.
Reactor, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably the first
Pull
one.
that
Which
up,
one
dude.
is that?
Reactor
I don't
Mustang.
know if
Yeah.
What's your brother's, the orange one? That's not...
That's Producer
Producer.
Mustang.
Did
You
you do that
designed
one?
that car too.
Well,
What's This is Reactor?
yes.
Yeah.
Do you name the car too, or do they do it?
No, I remember the day we named that car. So that was probably the Ring Brothers' first. I mean, it wasn't their first car, but that was the car they first got known off of.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted? Like, were you happy with the sketch and then the translation?
They stuck to the drawings on that so much it was crazy.
What year is this, dude?
2005.
Damn, I was 5 years old.
I think I was working. Yeah,
I was 5.
And then
Isn't that
was
great though? Look at where you see the rendering
that's
of the
what you
car.
started with, huh?
Yeah, that was the final press rendering in 06. We debuted it in 06. We built it in 05. They did. Yeah.
Damn. Honestly, for 05, it still looks pretty good.
We did stuff that was like...
Oh, that shifter knob is...
like
real
the
knobby.
machine work and the nickeling and the nickel plating stuff. And I mean,
What motor is that?
it's a Roush Yates motor. I don't know what the displacement is, but so the car debuted in Roush's. Roush used to have a really big presence at SEMA.
Oh, shit.
Right there where PPG used to be. And that's at Columbus when we unloaded her off the trailer. That's Jim.
Of course.
Doing what Jim does.
Yeah.
Damn, that thing looks pretty sick, man. Where's this car now? Is it still around?
I don't know. But I'll tell you right now. And I was just talking about this last night with somebody at dinner. Like when I first met him, I met him going from, you know, building 4 or the North Hall at SEMA going into the West Gate. Back then it was a Hilton. I ran into Mike randomly because my friend was using the restroom and Mike was standing right there and he had a car outside between that little, we call it dumpster alley because back then there was no cars there, right? It was just one Mustang and Mike standing there. And I don't know where Jim was, but they were Ring Brothers, but they definitely, I mean, they weren't like the Ring Brothers as we know now. And
Yeah.
I just happened to talk to Mike and, you know, where are you from? What are you doing? And I was like, where's your car? He's like, it's right here. It was a really cool car. It was really innovative. Had a lot of different stuff on it. Wasn't like the level they have now, but like I could tell they were trying something different. They weren't trying to do what everybody else was at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how did you get here? And he's like, well, we didn't know. We just drove the car out here and, you know, just showed up and they put us here. And I'm like, yeah, you got to have a booth sponsor and this and that. And so he got my number and he called me like the next week and was like, hey, I want you to do some stuff for us. And at the time I was at Honda and you know, I started working moonlighting with them at night. And we did, the first car we did was Kona, which was an all black on black Kona. It was a 67 Mustang.
I think I remember that car.
Yeah, it was a really cool car. We did that. And then the next car after that was when they were like, we need to get you on an airplane and fly you out a lot and get you working on Reactor.
Here we go.
Yeah, that was Kona. Yeah.
They have funny names. I like the name they just did for the Bronco, Tuca.
Well, Kona was their dog at the time.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a black poodle.
Okay. Because I asked Nancy, I'm like, what does Tuca mean? She's like, took a lot of money, took a lot of things.
Took a lot of energy.
Took a lot of energy. Took a lot of fucking money. I was like, oh shit, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, but
you got to remember too, Kyle,
that was definitely like 2004, 2003.
Yeah, this is early on into the next generation of builders that were departing from the Boyd era and creating something.
And we got a lot of flack for a lot of years doing what we did because all these guys were like...
What, like big wheels? What, like these size wheels weren't a thing,
but
right?
Chrome and billet were still in, painting the car yellow, doing a muscle car, but treating it like a street rod.
Am I bad if I say that shit's gross? Like yellow and chrome and shit like that? Like I don't.
Yellow and chrome can work under the right circumstances.
But like yellow cars and like chrome shit to me is like, dude, that's so like.
Oh, don't tell that to Guy Fieri. It was that Guy Fieri.
No, Guy Fieri has like 100 yellow cars.
He has 100 yellow cars, and that's what I was scared about the McDonald's cars. I was like, they're gonna want to do red and yellow.
Yeah,
some Hulk Hogan
ketchup
shit.
mustard.
Yeah, and so they came back and they're like, we want to do it black and white, and I was like,
sick,
bitching.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I can do that. Yeah, black and white.
I think
with yellow highlights.
Jesse James is the chopper guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says yellow is the universal color for chicken, and Sylvester Stallone wanted a yellow bike. He's like, I'm not building you that.
There you go.
Look at that, bro.
Yellow, yeah.
That's
I mean,
disgusting.
I do think there's some things that are yellow though that look really good.
Like what?
Some vintage Ferraris, like Dino Ferrari.
Okay,
I like
you
yellow.
know what? You're right. Yellow is actually the original color for. Everyone thinks it's red, but like the color yellow is Ferrari's real.
And
racing
I don't know
color.
John Milner. I don't like that car personally. I know it's a famous car, the American Graffiti car, but I like 32 Fords that are yellow.
American Graffiti, yeah.
But when I worked at Celine, the black label Mustang concept car, Steve was like, it has to be yellow.
Really?
And I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, and this was a car that was really going to define my career at the moment. Like no, I mean it was like a huge car. It was the S550 Mustang, and it was the new Celine Mustang for that generation, 2015. Yeah, and I pulled up. At the time, Mercedes had a AMG GT supercar yellow that was a really mustard.
Almost like a goldish yellow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the AMG GT.
If you go to the... Yep, that's it. But if you go to the one...
That's too yellow. That's more the yellow I'm thinking for the AMG.
Well, but if you go over one right, and then one more over. Yeah, that was the actual show car. That was that. So that's actually... it was called Speed Lab Yellow, but we developed it off of another color from Mercedes. We modified it heavily, but like
my first ride in a fast car was a 2004 Celine Mustang, like the Terminator.
Was it yellow?
It was dark green, and I was doing karate lessons at the time, and one of the kids' dad had one. And I was like, please give me a ride in this thing, and he played that song, "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor," and when the fucking guy starts screaming, he would floor it. And I thought it was the fastest thing in the world. Probably not, though.
Yeah, they were pretty fast, but I think
for their time, yeah.
But
definitely.
like going back to the black label Mustang, like
like that was it.
I think it was cool because we did a lot of carbon and black on it, and it counterbalances the yellow, the brightness.
Yeah,
so you have the right amount of contrast and stuff.
Yeah. Yellow is one of those colors, I got to admit, though. Every time I see a yellow car that's cool, I go, God, that's so cool. It'd be so great if it was black.
Yeah. Every time I see a car in yellow, like an expensive car in yellow, I'm like, this guy just got a discount on it. You know? Like I saw a Porsche Taycan in bright yellow. Yeah. You get
colored cars are like super
less.
Like,
yeah. Like you got like 20 grand off because it's a yellow car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always one bright color that they offer in the product lineup that's like a bright color that's crazy. You know what I mean? But most cons, people just want white, silver. You know? When you had red, a lot of people don't like red, and I don't get that.
Well, I think for an everyday car,
I like red on the right car. But some people are like I've heard girls go, I wouldn't date him. He's got a red car. And I'm like, what? Like, you wear too much makeup. Like, shut up.
You know how bad I wanted that? It was the ZL1 I had, right?
Yeah.
That ZL1, I wanted red so badly that I ordered the car from a dealership in Dallas because it was the only red 2017 ZL1 available. Like,
Sean, do you remember
send it from Dallas?
Crazy neighbor you had?
Oh my God, that grenaded the side of my car.
Well,
it happened twice. For one day he pulled up, and you know when you pull up and Sean's angry, walking around, you're like, oh shit, something's wrong. And I go to the driver's side of the car, and it looked like someone took shit and rubbed it on the door handle and the hood, and could have been shit or mud. I don't know what it was, but
down the whole passenger side of the car. No idea.
Wait, I remember you going through this. This is your neighbor, not neighbor here.
Yeah.
But then, like maybe a couple weeks later, he pulls up and he's really pissed, smoking the cigarette hard and shit. You know, I'm like, what happened, Sean? And I look at the side of the car and the paint's coming off.
Yeah, I remember
like
that.
Someone
threw
put
aircraft paint remover on it.
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly what it was. And down the whole side of my car took I mean, literally paint off the entire side, including the hood and the deck lid. So it was like the whole car had to be repainted.
It was bad, dude.
And I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it was where my girlfriend lived at her apartment. The dude next door, which he was never going to get any, but he thought maybe he was going to get some, and then I was getting some, and I think he was pissed off about it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it was a neighbor or someone else that was like maybe a crazy person that watched the channel.
That's pretty chicken shit. To do
pretty whack. Yeah.
Pretty lame, right?
Yeah.
I know that aircraft paint remover, though. I remember we were doing a project for Ford with my friend Casey Scranton, an F-150, and we were going to do the hood and roof bare metal, like brushed. And so he's like, how do we do it? And I'm like, vinyl? Because I make vinyl. I go, no, it's corny. I go, you know what? I think if we strip it, because the hood was aluminum, and then we put that stuff on it, and we come back, it shit just like, and he's like, I don't know if that's going to work. So we put it on, and we come back after lunch. Sure enough, it was bare metal.
Shredded
Just,
the paint.
it just shredded the paint. We just scraped it off with a credit card.
Yeah.
And then we brushed the aluminum uniform, and then we clear coated it. It turned out great.
Yeah, that's about what was put on my car, because I remember it was bubbling off, and I touched it with something, and just paint just started falling off.
I have a picture of it. Maybe I can add it in to the edit after, but it was pretty bad.
So I don't know if you know this. Did you know Sean worked at Honda?
I don't remember that. No, I don't remember ever hearing that.
Very briefly.
Being a guy that doesn't ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, aren't you a part of the CBR 900 design?
CBR 600.
600. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
but not.
Which one? The Fireblade or something?
No, it was what we call like in Honda, like a minor model change, which is exterior trim.
Like a little facelift type thing?
Kind of, yeah. But in motorcycle world, I mean, so how that project started was, I don't know, like confidential how it started, but there's this thing they have in Honda where they did at the time, and it's gone, I think it's on the auto side and bike side. I was working at the bike side at the time, where you have a week to do anything you want and present it to upper management.
Oh, that's cool.
So everybody's like, I'm going to do a new NSX, or I'm going to do a Formula One car or whatever.
Basic, right?
Stuff that's not going to And so I was like, I wanted to restructure the graphics program they had for the sport bikes. And at the time, they had a lot of tribal stuff and stuff that was just very dated and, didn't look good. And so I came up with the concept of taking kind of like a hip hop inspired, like at the time, streetwear and street art and graffiti and stuff like that, and doing a bike that had those type of graphics.
Which those kind of people like those sport bikes.
Exactly.
Too, so that's kind of cool.
And then I painted the bike matte charcoal gray.
Ooh.
And then gloss black graphics. But now bear in mind, this was 2003, 2004. I mean, that wasn't, Ducati Monster had it. Yeah. And that was we always looked at that bike as a beautiful bike, still is.
Yeah, it is still great.
But putting the gloss black graphics, and I had to build, I actually quit Honda, and then they hired me back to create that concept for the Laguna Seca show. Mm-hmm. So I had to find a vendor to paint it. So I used Pete Santini, and he, after many cuss words and calling me nuts, we ended up building it, and it turned out amazing,
Yeah.
Is there a picture of that? What would you type in?
Pretty crazy,
CBR
though, isn't it? The
600 graffiti edition.
I just sold my bike, by the way, so
Good.
being safe now.
Nice.
Now we're going to get this guy on it.
He's totally right. He's totally being a pussy right now, no longer riding.
What brought that on?
Well, my brother crashed his bike, and he shattered his kneecap.
Yeah.
And he was big into exercise and all that stuff.
Sure.
So I watched all his progress go down the
Exactly.
drain from
That's
it.
crazy.
And I was like,
That's cool, dude.
Oh, so this is what you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of does have the street gangster looking vibe.
So
to
the thing, like if you in corporate design, if you could design something without redoing corporate tooling, but make a big impact and get a whole new market share,
Right.
That's huge.
But they don't put your name on
Right.
anything, huh? Like Sean Smith designed this.
Oh, when you work for a car company, that goes right out the window.
Honda did it, right?
Well,
Honda did that.
your boss probably, like your chief designer, design director, will get the.
See, that's pretty simple,
Yeah.
man. That's simple and clean.
That's why a lot of people are like in the hot rod world, like I didn't get credit for this, and I'm like, I'm used to that. But
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I like it, but yeah, it's.
What exhaust is that everyone has? That with the Yoshimura?
I have no idea.
Yamashura?
Yoshi.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worked at Honda. It was great. A lot of experience. I only was there a year or two, couple years at the most.
Didn't you work at other OEs too?
On an internship level, Mazda 6 months and Hyundai 3 or 4 months.
Right.
But the thing about art, when you work at art, when you come in from an art center, like it's not a get coffee, this type of go to Staples type of internship. It's like we're putting on a show car. We're putting on a concept car program.
Yeah.
So you got to hit the ground running. If you're really good, you can actually win the program and, probably quite possibly get some steady employment when you graduate.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of experience that you have going to Art Center. The program's 2.5 years, but they always want to have you intern for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and get that real word. And being in a car studio, it's hard because it's like there's not a lot of car designers out there. There's not a lot of car studios, and you're definitely not allowed in there. Like, very few people will be inside the walls of a car design studio and see full-size clays and work with an actual team of clay modelers and stuff like that. It's very special. It's super unique. Yeah.
Hey, so this year I'm curious, just thinking back to Grand National, is Steve's car, since it's in your booth, then I'm assuming he's not going for Slonaker with the car?
Well, Slonaker has to be a debut car.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Slonaker has to be a debut car. That's why, in some ways, what Bob Florian from ARP and Steve and Chris Brown, all those guys that have been with the Slonaker program, it's really great what they've done because I don't want to name any names, but we know that other indoor show in the Midwest that's pretty prestigious. They took a lot. I feel. I'm not saying they did, but they took a lot of the problems with that, and they were like, you can market the car in the build while you're building it, where you couldn't show pictures. It could be anything. It could be a vehicle. It could be a motorcycle that wins the Slonaker. As long as it's cool and as long as it's a mode of transportation, as long as it tells a story, it's in. And so,
but it has to debut at Slonaker.
Has to debut. I believe. I'm almost 100% sure it has to debut at Slonaker. And so this week, the big news is Barrett Jackson Gold Cup, of course.
Right.
A lot of big builders out there trying to slug it out for top honors for that.
They announced today. Will it be that they'll announce winner?
No.
You guys talking about Barrett Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Twisted GTO go across for that.
Yeah. Yep. So yesterday you drop them off. Everybody's judging. Bobby Alloway and Troy Trepanier, they judge them. And then they announce them the following week. Because, Barrett Jackson's couple weeks long or a week
10 days 12 days, something like that.
So they'll announce the winner next Friday, I believe. I think I'm going to head out there actually for that.
Oh, cool.
Did anyone see the car that fell off the lift?
No. A car fell off a lift at Barrett?
Yeah. Josh, can you pull up that picture?
Hold on, Chris is looking up Slonaker. Hold on one sec.
Josh showed me.
So it just started this weekend then, Barrett?
Well, I set up
this week,
set
Thursday.
up in the judging.
Wait,
I think
this is
the docket gets opened up tomorrow on Monday.
Right.
But so we got that to get through, and then after that, we have back to the Slonaker the week or two after, and there's some heavy hitter cars coming to that. So in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's it. So it was Meekum, sorry, not Barrett Jackson. This is completely different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Meekum.
Very
Josh showed
different.
me this the other day.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So it was like a lift that malfunctioned. Sean, can you imagine this happening in the shop?
Brutal. Oh, God.
I have nightmares about this. Like this is, and I wake up like this and this happened in the.
Oh, well, I mean, nothing
imagine?
compares to the Russo Steel accident. Do you guys ever remember that?
No, what's that?
Well, we were selling our personal car, and there was a horrible storm that went through that area of Westworld and where all the auction areas are. And they didn't make the right provisions for the storm, and the whole tank collapsed. Huge pole landed on our car.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. Roadster Shop was another one. I want to say Roadster Shop was selling like a green Chevelle and stuff.
Is there pictures of that I'm able to look up?
I don't think so. I mean, you can try to look, but man, what a nightmare.
That's a
Are those
bummer
guys
when
even
that stuff
around
happened.
anymore? Does Russo still exist anymore?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If so, we just gave them more screen time than they deserve. Because I remember them being they were kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better way of saying it, like kind of shitbags.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
I wasn't able to
here's the
find
thing.
anything.
I've been a vendor with Barrett Jackson. I've sold cars with Barrett Jackson. I've done promotional things with Barrett Jackson. It just doesn't get any better. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. Yeah, and even when you go to the event, it's just the way they lay everything out, the hospitality, the way they make you feel.
Yep.
I mean, it's not cheap. It's not cheap to go. It's fun, but it's worth it.
Nah, it's great.
It's great.
That's such a cool.
Things they do for the auctions and for charities, it's it's great, So I mean, if you're gonna do that this time of year in January, just do it with Barrett Jackson.
Yeah. I totally agree.
100%.
So you think you'll go out for that to see?
I think so.
Isn't there 2 votes? So there's the judging and then there's the popular vote.
The popular
people
vote,
right? Like I threw my vote in last night.
Yep. There's the popular vote, and then there's what Troy and Bobby. They're the judges.
Got
and
Troy Trepena? No.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Rad Rides by Troy.
Yeah. Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, I guess that's one guy to do it for sure.
And so, it's just the next 4 weeks are a great time for cars, And I like it because you have SEMA, and then you kind of get a little break for the holidays, and then we get right back to it. So, and not also just cars, but like really heavy hitter cars get unloaded.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
we're talking about probably 10 plus heavy hitter cars in the Sloniker building. The Roadster Show is going to have Roadsters, building 4 always, the traditional award, the amber cars, and then the Gold Cup stuff.
Right.
And it's a really cool time right now. Like traditionally, I think a lot of the stuff that debuts at Sloniker ends up the next year will be going for the Gold Cup. So,
Barrett Jackson is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I would watch this on TV before I even came to work at Autotopia.
I remember my first great experience at Barrett was with my brother. Roger was still alive at the time. We were all out there together, and my brother was trying to buy a car you designed, right? Dragon's Blood. Was it?
The Ring Brothers Dragon. Yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah. I worked on it with a few other people. Yeah. I think Bob Thrash worked on it.
That car was bitching, man. But my brother was dying to buy that car. He gets on stage, and him and the one guy have a bidding war. Yeah, that car.
This is it.
And,
what is that, 70?
Yeah, 69 or 70.
Yeah.
And
Pretty
so
sick.
the guy just wanted to make sure he outbid my brother, and my brother was kind of pissed. He tapped out at whatever the number was, 315, 320.
Sure.
I mean, pretty solid.
Bro.
Yeah.
Damn.
So then me and my brother are outside walking around. He sees producer, and he's like, "Get a hold of the Ring Brothers. I need to meet these guys and talk to them." And I think I called you, or maybe Eric called you. Somehow we got on the phone with Jim Ring, which was the beginning of getting to know the Ring Brothers. But and I remember Jim saying, "Yeah, as much as I love Dragon, he said producer's a way better car.
Like mechanically or just design?
He just thought it was all around just a better car."
Yeah, I mean, Jim, he put a lot of miles on that car. We did the popular hot rodding shootout with that car. We did a lot of things with that car.
Jim is the funny one, right? The little funny who did Ennio with us.
They both think they're funny. They're not that funny. They're not as funny as me. I'll tell you, I'll go on record right now. They're and whatever funniness they have, they probably got it from me. So.
Jim is funny. He cracks me up.
Yeah, he's always a little grumbly and a little pissed off.
And just
but
the
not
Midwest
really.
accent, I love the way they talk.
They're funny dudes, man.
Yeah, they are. Great people, great team. Now you have Ryan over there too. He's great to work with, and
except for when he comes up and shakes your damn hand. The
Oh
guy
my God.
I thought he was going to rip my arm right out of the socket.
Yeah.
oh really?
He's a big kid.
Yeah.
Another good guy they had there.
That's their son, right?
No.
No. Hunter's their son. But
Hunter.
Another good guy that was super talented that worked there was behind every great build, and I worked with him since I was at Honda. Was Sean Hildebrand. So shout out to him. But he was behind the scenes guy, very shy, but he was super talented at metalwork. I mean, and Ryan, the whole team's super talented. They always bring something to the table. I think the biggest thing with Ring Brothers is how they approach a car and how they think. And they always try to do something. If the industry's going in this direction, like hard right, they're going to go hard left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everybody's going to think they're crazy. And then they're going to, they show up with a pink car.
Yeah.
It's the hottest car at SEMA. They show up with a Formula One inspired hot rod.
That truck, dude.
Ennio is crazy.
Ennio,
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
such a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's not a hot rod. That wasn't made out of an English wheel, and that wasn't made." And it's like, actually, if you know all the metalwork that Sean did on the cab and how the huge, massive scale on that car.
that truck
it's
is
unreal.
And
it's not when you see it in person too, you're like, how is this in front of me? It
well,
looks
and
like a rendering.
the way they build things there is they always take an OEM approach, which I think that's why guys like me and Gary like working with them, Gary Regal, because they embrace CAD. I know Gary does a lot of stuff in Alias, which is a really robust CAD program there. I do too.
Yeah.
And they want everything to be on the level of an OEM concept car. That's how they think. But, so they're, why everybody else is doing the traditional methods, they're trying to embrace tradition, but also embrace modernism as well with their builds. And that's really exciting about what they do.
I like also that they've never, like certain builders that have made a real mark, in my opinion, just my, whatever, I'm another dude with an opinion, but Boyd created Boyd and then never grew past that, Chip Foose, I think, is one that's done the same. I've heard that he's kind of reinventing himself right now, which would be a cool thing to see.
That would be great.
But and I'm not knocking him. He set the bar, right?
Yeah.
But what I love about the Ring Brothers is they've never stopped evolving and growing. It's like they haven't arrived yet. Like they're still, Mike gives a shit. He's still really trying to do
when
great
I call
stuff.
when Mike calls me at 1:30 in the afternoon, that's usually when we touch base.
Yeah.
And on a Saturday. And he knows I'm drawing and I know he's working on a car.
Sanding or painting or
he's blocking
something.
a car.
Yeah.
And there's not many guys that own the company with a big partnership, will own the company and still have as much sweat equity in the car, and the vision of the vision of what they do and how it translates to the parts line and how they do a brand and curate the brand.
Yeah.
So, maybe you can't have the car, but you can certainly have a piece of what they do through a billet part.
That's right.
It's very important.
Yep.
Just everything they do is just to really, so a lot of people on that truck, I think the truck was great. It was a hit. It got Battle of the Builders, but, that thing was probably one of the most progressive hot rods that I've seen come across, the scene in a long time.
No question.
Yeah, it's very cool. And
that it actually drives. Like,
and it drives and it runs. But I'm one that likes design out of contradiction. Like, I like taking things and, like, what if you were to take a, like what they did, like a Formula One look and apply it to, a hot rod. Like, I like things that contradict each other and you shouldn't do it, but you put it together and you create something new.
Yeah.
It's like sweet and savory.
Yeah, I mean, and OEMs do that. I mean, when the station wagons phased out in the 70s, they were like, okay, well, let's take the van concept, shrink it down, make it the size of a compact car, and then that's the Chrysler minivan.
Yeah.
Let's take a truck and add another seat in the back, and now we have 7-row seating SUV. And so to get new product, you oftentimes have to merge two other things or two problems to solve one big problem.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that in our industry. I mean, I've been trying to do that whole race rod, performance, hot rod, pro touring thing for a long time. I did a concept a long time ago. It was a Golf mid-engined hot rod, like a GT40 hot rod, all-wheel drive. And I would love to get that thing built, but, Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see the truck that Chevy might do? Mm-mm. It's like bringing back the square body. I don't know if it's real or not. Josh showed me the other day. See if you could pull it up. It looks sick. It's like
is it real or is it clickbait?
I don't know. That's the thing. Pull it up, Josh.
Right.
Tell me what you have.
Right. One of those walk around renderings.
Right.
That makes noise and stuff.
That was it right there. Look at that. Imagine they brought that back.
I mean, that looks cool, but I think that's AI
fake.
rendering. Yeah. That looks great.
That's not it. It was definitely square body.
What do you think? I'm curious. I mean, I kind of know the answer to this one because you and I talk enough. But there's a lot of guys, social media that create artwork that even has like it almost looks real. They walk around it and you hear an engine rumbling and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that just an artist being an artist, or is that a designer? Do you put them in separate realms?
No, I would actually say that they're designers. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, there's just because you're not drawing it with a number 2 pencil or a Prismacolor pencil in the beginning, I would say, listen, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Yeah.
And the traditional car design method is definitely to start with drawings and traditional method, go to digital, go from digital to 3D to clay, or 3D just straight to the product nowadays. But, if you can get your point across in development of form and 3D translation with just designing a CAD, go for it. I mean, one of the most talented designers I've known, I went to school with Art Center, Sasha Slepanovsky. I hope I'm spelling his name right. tremendous artist, tremendous sketcher, but almost, I mean, he doesn't really sketch anymore. He just starts building stuff in CAD. And not to say it's not refined and amazing. I mean, he did the new Nilu supercar, and it's
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's impressive.
And here's the thing: Kaiser's probably the one of the most famous digital artists out there.
Yeah.
And he just came up with that JagCon. Well, I don't know if it's Jag. What is that thing?
It's a Jag.
TWR.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I went to the unveiling of that in downtown LA a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now, everything up until that point I've seen him do has been on Instagram. It's been 2D. It's been in the video game. Walking around it, 3D surfaces, the reflections, highlights.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Damn.
Yeah.
And maybe he did some drawings on traditional, but if not, if he just did only the digital design of it, and it looks great. So who's to say what at this point right now?
Now, I've seen a few of his in person. I haven't seen that car in person yet, but when we were at that event Ultrace in Poland this summer, the Kaiser had his E36.
Sure.
Really bitching.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wild like his styling is, but
right.
very much a real car right in front of you. Mm-hmm. And then the other one he did was, God, what was that company called? Peaches?
Peaches.
Peaches, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a Korean-based company, and he did it with, I want to say it was either a Hyundai or a Kia, and you would never in a million years know this car was a Hyundai or a Kia. Very rally
That was the car
inspired.
that won, right?
Yeah.
The white one, Josh.
It's the white one.
No, but do the one of him standing next
That's
to it.
it right there.
That's him
that's
too,
it.
right?
And that's with Kaiser. Yeah.
Tall motherfucker, huh?
He is. I met him briefly, and he's a really
he's a
tall
really nice
dude.
guy too, and
Super nice. Yeah.
you know,
That's a Hyundai?
Yeah. Either Hyundai or Kia. I can't one or the other. I can't remember honestly, but because they're a Korean-based company.
at the same token, though, I mean, as much as I like the new stuff that's going on with all that, I was talking the other day with I don't know say who it is, but design director currently, and all I need is a pen and paper and ballpoint pen, and you can design it. Like, look at Chip. I mean, he still uses vellum and ballpoint pen.
What's a vellum?
Vellum's a type of paper that we draw on.
Okay.
It's like a marker paper.
How do you spell it?
VELLUM.
You're going to pull up a picture of paper?
But like,
Josh,
there used
thank
to
you
be-
so much for that.
I'm dating myself now, but there used to be this paper called Vincent Vellum
I'm just trying to do my job over here.
that you could only buy in Detroit and Pasadena. It's like specifically for car designers.
Yeah.
That's what Chip used for years. That's what I used for years.
Yeah.
Before we all went digital. But now I think Chip uses more. Anyways, we're nerding out on paper.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm not knocking it, but I like being a musician my whole life, right?
Sure.
There's the old school guys, like the world I grew up in, I grew up in a world where there was multi-tracking, but you think of the Beatles as an example, right? Before multi-tracking, the whole band cuts the song. If you miss something, you got to record it again because you can't go in and clean up a drum part or something.
Yeah.
And then there's the artist that came years later where one guy can sit by himself in front of a computer with nothing but just software and create an entire album.
Right.
I mean, Ed Sheeran, genius at that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's gone considerably further than that, but like, I just think it's interesting how times change, and it's still the same. It's still the same creative impulse, you know? It's just a different way of producing that.
Yeah, I think as long as the end result is amazing, the process doesn't really matter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Can you explain why it's important to spend the money to have a design first? Because there's some people that don't. Because it costs money to have a whole, like the way you do a rendering, interior, exterior. It costs money up front to do that, but it kind of saves you from,
I think it's just a matter of... And it comes down to anything with life, you know, relationships with your girl or your family or your boss or whatever. It's just communication. We're just visually communicating what we're going to do. And we're visually communicating what we're going to do to the client for his car, and then give it to the builder or company, if it's like a build for a company. And then we're going to communicate that all the way down to how it's going to get built. And the sketches are just tools to communicate that with. So obviously in anything else like relationships or with, communication is the death of anything, right? The relationship. So if you don't have these visuals to help us to get our ideas out of our head on the paper and go, okay, that's it. These cars could get really expensive. I mean, let's face it. These two shows we're talking about, Barrett and Road to Show. These cars are good for the most part. They're $1 million cars at this point.
I don't know if you want to say the number, but I think most people would be surprised to know how much a design costs. Like for you to do, not just you in general, but most designers to do an exterior, interior, it costs what? Minimum $10,000.
Well, I can't say because I can't speak for other designers.
Right.
And
but
it depends on what people come in and use me as. Sometimes I get guys that are like, I want one drawing and that's it. And I never hear from them again. And sometimes I get people that call me and they want me on a weekly basis, and I will say this, I can't necessarily answer this, but I will say this. Most of the cars that are in the top of our industry are designed.
Yep.
Let's put it this way.
And it's probably more than a $10,000 rendering.
I only know one person who's probably one of the best builders, if not the best builder, and I don't think he really uses. And he may. I've seen renderings in the back.
He said he used to.
I know he used to, but I don't know if he does currently. But I do still every now and then go, yeah, I see a sketch in the back. But it's Troy.
Yeah.
Training,
Vicious didn't have a rendering, right? Vicious was all done metal, right? Like they designed in metal.
Yeah, Chris, you had renderings, and you had. I mean,
we had a line drawing rendering about a third of the way through it. We had it on paper, at least the exterior. We didn't do interior. A lot of it was figured out on the fly.
Yeah,
I mean that can get expensive, right?
It can get expensive
because you make something and you go, all right, this doesn't look like how I wanted. Throw it away, start over.
That's right.
And that's a bunch of metal you just sculpted and threw away.
And then there's a lot of builders that are like, they call me and they're like, I got all the ideas in my head. I just need you to get it out. And I'm like, I'm not a psychiatrist. Like, I'm not in the business of you sitting on the sofa and telling me your ideas and extracting it.
You don't have a crystal ball?
No, and it's not to say I don't want to work with them and hear their ideas out. But, generally, let's get the high points and then have a design. Doesn't have to be me, but have a designer come in and creatively interpret that and get what the owner wants out of it, get what the builder wants out of it, get what we're trying to do. And be honest with yourself and what you're trying to do with the car. And I think that's the one thing I get with people right now is I'm trying to tell people just be honest with what you want out of the car. Because like if you're trying to build like a Slonaker winner or a SEMA show Battle of the Builder winner, let me know now. Be honest because it's probably not going to be the car you're going to go to In-N-Out in.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it couldn't. And not to say, and trust me, there's all kind of builders that have high-end cars, clients that do that.
Yep.
But it's just going to be, if you want a car to go drive to South Dakota to and from California, then that's cool too. Now Wes Rydell, he's got cars that are like grade 8 cars and he drives them everywhere.
I was just going to say, there's a good couple of them,
There are people that do it, I know, but generally speaking, try to figure out what you really want to do with the car and what kind of experience you want to have. It's almost like close your eyes and, because I know a lot of people that have done high-end builds and they get rid of the high-end build and they get something that's like an entry-level just driver door slammer, and they're like, it's the best car I've ever had in my life.
That's what I like. Me and Sean geek on those.
And I think that's
definitely becoming my favorite is the it would fall into the realm of what Roadster Shop does is their Survivor series.
Yeah. Right.
We've shot a couple recently where no body, no paint, patina. Not bad. It's not rusting out, but it's not pretty, but mechanically it's perfect and down to like ergonomics, which always drives me completely bonkers in a car. You sit down to go drive it and you're reaching for the steering wheel, the shifter's way up here, the pedals are in your face, and you're like, did you guys ever plan on driving this car? And those are my favorite ones, are the ones where all the ergonomics are right, the mechanicals worked out, and who cares about the paint and body so long as it looks pretty decent,
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah, and some of these builds they get. I mean, of course, I like it because I could do more creativity things when they're more extensively modified.
Sure.
But I think what happens is you have it's where the emotional connection comes in for the car. I mean, if you have like a very iconic car like a 32 Ford or a 57 Chevy, you don't really have to do a whole lot to it to have a emotional connection from the scene and the industry for people to love that car, right?
Yeah.
Take that car that Andy Leach did, the Buick Invicta
Invicta?
Yeah, Invicta.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I mean, that car is amazing, but not
You haven't seen that car?
Not a traditional car you'd see every day that's modified.
Pull up Cal Auto Creations
And what
Invicta.
I like about this car is they designed the story. I mean, they may not say it, but I knew exactly when I walked in the Slonaker building what they did. They designed the car as if it was like a GM concept car. I mean, the booth that they had it in looked like a 60s GM design studio. Eric Black designed the car. He's a tremendous designer. Huge shout out to him. But
this looks like Grand National Roadster Show type of car.
Yeah, and so that's like they created a whole story around that car, I feel like. Even though they may not say this is the story of the car, I can tell that there was a concept.
Yeah, it wasn't accidental that their booth looked the way it did.
Maybe not, but I know.
What did the booth look like?
The booth,
like you said,
they had like, it was like set up like a 60s GM design studio.
Okay.
You walked into their booth and it looked like a total design studio. It didn't look like a booth at a car show.
Oh, wow.
And I like that in projects. I like that when people come up with a story on the car. The car has a little bit more of a background. Like
Strobe,
I was about to say
Strobe does that. I did that with the GTO. The concept of the GTO is if John DeLorean, who's as we all know, is a man excessive lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
If he had no budget in GM and there was no Cadillac, but there was only Pontiac, what would the GTO be?
You talking about the Kevin Hart GTO?
No.
Steve Aguilar.
The Twisted GTO.
Yeah. If it was like the car of cars in GM in Detroit, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
That adds to it all, is having the backstory to it. To, like you said, even though if somebody doesn't know the backstory, it creates every move you make.
This car is
literally.
There's our video
I think
right there.
if you don't have a story or a concept in the background, it's like a movie with good special effects but no storyline.
Totally
Dude, this
agree.
car was
It's
like a Bugatti. This thing, like sitting inside of it, driving down with Steve, it was like it's a super car.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's a great example of a car, though, in my opinion, that's gone all the way. Reins pulled, but nonetheless, all the way over the top as far as every element's touched. But Steve's been out driving and enjoying that car, man.
He's been driving it a lot. Yeah,
I mean, I drove it down the road.
Hard, bro.
Yeah. It's a real deal car. You know, it's not. Man, I've seen enough of these things where, you know, I mean, there's a builder. I mean, it's so funny. I know it'd be half of the people would probably love it if we started name checking everyone we want to talk smack about. But there's, you know, I've had a couple of the cars here that are total show cars. Like the second you sit down, you go, I don't want to drive this. I don't even want to have to move it across the floor of my garage.
Sure.
You know,
we get mad when we have to move certain cars in the shop. Like pissed
just
off.
because there's so little thought put into it, you know, that like Troy Trepagna said his approach was making them great driver cars and then figure out how to make them look good. And I like that concept, right? Because the idea is definitely to drive it down the road. And boy, when there's a car you get in, you don't even literally want to drive it across the floor of my garage. Now you're going to want to drive that thing down the road. It's like, drain the fluids, put it on the wall, and call it art. You know, it's I don't know.
I know. I mean, as much as I love my job, I personally wouldn't own one. What I drive and what I draw are two different things.
That is a pretty funny one.
Yeah, I don't. I even was at dinner last night and I told somebody, I was like, yeah, probably what I'm going to get. It's two
what would you
things.
get?
Range Rover?
Yeah, probably.
I like that.
Even
That's
though those
funny.
are a huge pile of shit.
Don't let the cool factor. He's still cool. Don't let that kill it.
I mean, no, I'd probably get an Audi, that new Audi wagon.
The RS6? Yeah, we got one of those in the shop.
That's a slick
Well, if you
car.
were going to do like a...
But I would probably redo the fascia on that because I don't like the front bumper on that.
If you were going to build like a custom Resto Mod Pro Touring kind of car, what would you do?
He wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't.
You really?
Actually, if I were to build a car, I know what I'd build.
I know it's going to be European, right?
No, mid-60s Riviera. 64.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
would
could see
probably
you in that.
super clean, of course, it would probably have like wires or Astra Supremes.
Would you go to the extent of like Twisted GTO style? Or like,
I would love to do that I think that, so that's another thing. We were talking about contradiction of design. Like, what if you combine Pro Touring and Lowrider? The guy did that. I forget which builder did that with. It was like a 62 Impala Coupe with blue. It was amazing. It was like kind of Lowrider, kind of Pro Touring, but like you had a new scene called Pro Low where cars were kind of like a little bit of Lowrider, a little bit of Pro Touring, like a little bit.
No, he's saying that would be contradiction build.
Oh, I
But
see.
that's a very good scene. I mean, that's the kind of thing I would get me excited. That kind of project. But I forget there was a builder in the Midwest that built. Oh man,
well, the only guy that I can think of is BCC Zach, who has that lowrider with the big blower sticking out of it.
No.
So it's like completely insane motor in a car.
No, this car was
slow
sick.
and hot.
It was Brian Stupski designed it. He did the graphics layout on it, and
you can find
it was at SEMA outside by the taxi line, the old taxi. I mean, I know
my
everything.
God.
62 Impala?
This year?
I think it was a 62 Impala.
Stupski.
Man. Anyways,
See if you
Yeah.
can
but
find it.
I would personally like something like mild custom.
I could see you
Yeah,
cruising
I think
a
he got
Rivi.
it. I think he got it.
I could actually see you
that it?
cruising a Rivi.
No, that's Anvil, right?
No,
That's
that's a
the
great
old-
car,
Yeah.
but no.
Although that one we will be shooting soon, that old Anvil car.
You said
Yeah.
it was at SEMA this last year?
No, it was a couple years ago.
Oh.
What's the guy's name? Stupski? 62 Impala.
Brian Stupski. I can't remember the builder for my life's name. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't know how to spell his last name?
STUPSKA.
SKA.
Yeah.
SKA?
SKA.
Is that like
there's the
yippee
rendering.
motherfucker?
There's the rendering on the left. Yes. See how it's kind of like.
So like you have the lowrider body style look, but your wheels and stuff obviously can't be lowrider. You know, like you're not gonna have tiny little wheels that hop, but you can
no,
have a
I
lowrider.
mean you don't have to have it hop, but
Yeah.
just have it like.
Lowrider style, but drive like a pro touring car. That would be kind of cool, actually. That's
I-
the sweet and savory right there.
But you could probably go down that rabbit hole. On
You
that.
keep coming back to that sweet and savory.
Do you not
You're
like
kinda-
that?
I
You
do.
get what I'm saying? I know
yeah,
you
I
like
get
sweet
you.
and
It
savory.
sounds a
I
little bit
get
like
you.
a McDonald's commercial. Like
It
our
does.
new sweet and savory sauce.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's the best. And if you order 3 burgers, you can get one for free.
So yeah,
Sean's
no,
hungry.
I don't know. My personal what I would drive. I like German cars.
I do too, man. They're great. They're
Yeah.
I've driven that RS6 wagon. It's fantastic. The car I keep looking at, I've told you, I'm thinking about potentially getting the Panamera wagon.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
like
what do you
that
drive
car.
right now?
Jeez. I'll tell you
that
what though.
car a
I'm thinking
lot.
about. I'm thinking about getting one too. So don't laugh. And everybody hates on it, but I'm like, y'all don't live in LA, so whatever. You know.
Yeah, but what do you do when fires break out and power goes out, and then now you can't go charge anywhere?
Drive something else.
I like the S still. I do
Model
like the
S?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Would you
I
like the
think it's a great car.
Cybertruck from a design perspective? Probably not.
No,
huh?
I don't.
No,
Yeah, that's
he's the
a-
modern DeLorean, bro. That's the modern DeLorean.
No, it's not.
You don't think so?
No.
Dude, when you see a DeLorean, you go, what the fuck? You see a Cybertruck, you think the same thing. And it's that.
It looks like it was built on a sheet metal brake.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
And I actually I'm a big Elon fan,
Yeah.
definitely. But
But I did see the for the first time. I saw the truck for the first time at the Peterson Museum. Like
yeah.
actually, when I was doing the podcast with Steve.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
There's a lot more refinement than people give it credit for when you actually look at it. I mean, the truck's actually really hard, probably to build from a production standpoint because
Yeah.
the panels are so straight.
Yeah.
I mean, but listen, is it the most modern vehicle on the road? Absolutely.
Probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nothing else looks as
Yeah,
space age
absolutely.
as
It's
that
the
car.
most progressive. I mean, I saw one today.
Truck.
I came from Redondo right now in Redondo Beach, and one crossed over me, and I was just looking at it, and I was like, God, that thing's uncomfortably nuts.
Yeah.
I think people jumped on hating it, though. You know, like there became
No,
like a whole
it's totally valid. No,
to hate on it.
totally not hate on it. Yeah.
I just saw this thing this morning where people were, everyone's wrapping their cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people were taking the wrap off, and now it's completely jacking up everything underneath.
Oh,
All the
really?
stainless stuff.
All the stainless stuff, yeah.
Wow.
Listen, for what it is, very cool, respectable. They did it. Balls that they did it. I mean, it's not my thing, but that's not to say that it's not somebody else's thing. You know, and
my
I know.
dad loves it.
Huh?
My dad loves it. Like he wants one, and Sean is like, no, dude.
I just can't. I think, you know what I think was cool about that? And I'm not talking about the technology side because the technology, you can't deny it actually.
Sure.
But it seems like one of those that if you got it and you were the first 2 or 3 people to have one, you're like, flex, look at this shit.
Yeah.
I'm badass. I'm driving. It's the ugliest thing, ugliest, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. Now there's thousands of them out there, and you're still gonna buy one. Like I don't even come close to understanding that at all, because I just think they're. I don't know. I miss. And there's modern cars that the design's great on. That Panamera wagon, I think, is a spectacular looking vehicle. I really do. I like that car.
Yeah, it's one of the best looking cars.
The Cadillac Blackwing, I think, is great.
Right.
There's so many. But
these
modern
are big ticket cars. What are some good cars that are?
So is a Cybertruck. That's a big ticket truck.
Oh, it is. But I'm talking about. What are some good cars that are low level cost?
Like what, under 50?
I mean, what's a good car that's like doesn't cost?
How about the modern Supra?
Nah,
it's still an expensive car. I'm talking
They're
about
not that bad.
I'll tell you what's a great car. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I love the car though. It's a really timeless, beautiful car. And I was in one today.
Yeah, get closer to the mic. Sorry.
S2000.
They're great cars.
Yeah, I know, a convertible and all that stuff. My friend Jan Tronson, one of good friends, designer from Honda too. Like, I was looking at, we got out and I was like, man, and it's funny because Pininfarina actually did, the people that did Ferrari back in the day, they did a lot of the early design studies on that.
On the S2000?
S2000?
Really?
Yeah, they did the first initial concept, I think.
It just reminds me of like,
if you type in Pininfarina S2000,
the problem that I have with that car is like, it looks like something a 16-year-old drives. You know?
But it's a great, I understand it's not my type of car either, but like the silver one, go over. No, the one over.
This was the concept for it?
That was the advanced. I mean, the long hood and the wheel well opening and how flat it is. That's just,
but Sean, these are expensive now.
You know what my guilty
I know
my
my friend,
grand, like minimum,
my friend
bro.
was like, his is low miles. He's had it forever. And his package is silver with red interior.
Nice.
And he's like, yeah, I bought it for 18. It's worth 30.
Yeah.
You know what my guilty pleasure car is? That if I could have one, but none of my friends could ever know I was driving it down the road, and I'd be smiling like crazy.
What's that?
STI?
WRX STI.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I'd just be so embarrassed if my friends caught me driving one. It'd be like trying to ride a moped and waving to a guy on a Harley, you know?
Sure. What's the one, the roadster shop that they make fun of Phil about? The Miata, right?
The Miata,
Yeah.
Which is funny because I actually interned at Mazda and I worked on that program. I was just talking about it this morning. It's the hardest car to draw.
What, a Miata?
Really?
Yeah.
What, the original one, the 90s one?
The wheelbase is so short, and if you draw it too small, it looks like a toy. If you draw it too big, it looks like a Corvette. I don't know. It's just a very hard car to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not a sport compact convertible type of guy anyways.
I honestly don't think there's a lot of cool new cars that are out that are like affordable.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
Like, what is affordable that's new that is like I remember back when I was young, and I'm like, oh, my age, when I was your age, like early 20s, there was like so many hot little sport compact cars that were out like this.
How about the is it the Hyundai Veloster?
Dude, come on, Sean.
No, for an inexpensive car, it's not a bad looking car. Or the I'm drawing a blank on the model now.
If this was the 90s, we'd be like E30, the Fox body. You'd be like,
yeah, but those were all big ticket cars back then.
They were.
Were they really?
See, and I think this is how design starts.
That's not a bad looking car for an inexpensive.
Yeah.
I mean, color's horrible on it,
I don't
right?
know, it's kind of like Golf Blue.
So if I pulled up in that next week, Sean, you'd be like, bitchin', dude.
No, I would not. I would definitely remind you that you're gay. But if I cut how much I pay you in half, then I'd be like, good on you.
I know of a good vehicle that's price points entry.
Huh?
You guys think I'm crazy, but and an ultimate cool car to customize, but nobody does it. Ford Maverick.
Wait, that's a new car?
Yeah.
Pull up a Ford.
The Maverick truck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the truck.
I just have such a hard time with that they called the fucking truck a Maverick. Because you know what the Maverick version was, right?
Yeah,
back in the day.
What's his name? I think
Austin.
Austin. Yeah.
Austin's dad has one. Yeah.
I think that's a clean looking.
No, you like that?
Lowered, cool, off-road, cool.
I hear you.
I don't see much of them,
get
but
it.
I don't see any of them customized. But it's a very clean design, and a lot of other designers that are in my industry, not particularly especially automotive focus, but like just overall designers think it's pretty. I mean, I don't know. It's very, the problem with everything today is everything's from the OEMs is super over stylized.
What do you think about the Rivian?
Yeah, I like the Rivian.
Those are really posh.
Yeah,
too.
I like the way
when you look
I
at
love
a
the
Tesla
design on the
interior
Rivian.
compared to a Rivian interior, then the Rivian's so much nicer.
Yeah, I love the Tesla. Or not
the Rivian.
I love the Rivian. It's super simple. Everything Porsche does, super simple. But like a lot of cars right now, like BMW.
Yeah.
And
I always talk about
Hyundai,
this with my friends.
I mean, they're crushing it with sales and stuff, but like just really busy. GM's really busy.
In the design process, like at the big companies, does it get screwed along the way by whoever the chief in charge is? Like, because it seems like for the most part, design is more functional than it is. Like the days of doing a Bel Air, right, with a bunch of decorative elements that are totally not in use for any function. It seems like those days are gone. Like everything is function-based design.
For sure.
But you have to understand the reason why those cars were done out of excess back in the 50s is men were coming back from the war, and we had to get people motivated to go out and buy things.
Yeah.
It was kind of like we're.
It was also a luxury to afford that. So like if you were gonna buy it, it had to like be this amazing thing. You know, not everybody can buy a car, so it's like whatever.
Well, we had to have the world was so dreary. I think back coming out of the late 40s. I certainly wasn't around then, but like there was this autonomous like rocket age, like the brand new 1954,
Space age,
exactly. And so they had, and then things got super refined. I always say the best era of car design, the golden age, was
late 60s, early 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
I think so too.
Italians and car. But I also think 98 to 2010 was pretty good too.
Yeah.
But anyways, what was your original question, Sean?
I was just curious, I gotta imagine there's guys and girls that think like you, that have the passion you do for design, that work at an OE, and they bring in these great ideas. Maybe even the team gets excited, and then the chief in charge, plus him meeting up with marketing, goes, yeah, but we're not going to sell as many of this. We don't need to spend as much money making that because that's wasteful. We don't need to, design seems like it's gotten watered down because it's more about selling cars rather than designing a great
absolutely.
car.
I mean, they're not in it to. I mean, they have to sell cars,
right? Which I get.
Yeah,
that.
and it's. I think people don't understand how hard it is to design a car. I mean, certainly, most of my career is specialty focused on one-off cars. I have a little bit of OEM experience, so I can't totally speak for the OEM world, but I've done a little bit, and I have a lot of friends, and it's a lot to get a car through off this drawing board.
Yeah.
Have your boss sign off on it, have it go through engineering, look, there's so many things, and then hopefully it sells well, and then hopefully it stays on track. And, and then you have oftentimes maybe the management, they're busy climbing the corporate ladder or corporate chutes and ladders for that matter, and it's really hard to get a car. And you got to understand, like the cars that are out now, like the newest car now was designed 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I always have to live my life looking 5 years.
Quarter mile at a time.
No. But 5 years looking down the road of what's not going to be hot now, but what's going to be hot 3 or 4 years from now.
Because by the time you design it and it gets built, and
even the specialty hot rod stuff, what I do, I'm always looking at like, okay, this is very now, but by the time this is done, is this going to be relevant?
Like right now, fiber falls into that.
Well, I'm getting a lot of and I did a ton of these cars and I still do them, but I think the overly customized canards and carbon and splitters and everything, I think those things are starting to, they're not out, but we've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so, and I get a lot of phone calls. You'll know this when you'll laugh. I get a lot of phone calls that people call and they're like, hey, I got this color. Like, it's an amazing color. It's so crazy. You're going to love it.
Nardo gray.
And I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably like 15 years old. And I don't want to be a jerk, but like if you think you're going to set the world on fire with a Nardo gray color,
you're not.
It might look great, but and don't get it wrong. Like, if I bought a new GT350R, it'd probably be Nardo gray.
Yeah.
It makes all the
in
details.
Every company,
yeah,
I mean, Raptors are Nardo gray now.
Well, Volkswagen.
Version.
I mean, Volkswagen had that version of that color for years, way back in the 50s and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that color's It's a very serious, militant German color, and it's good for making details stand out. So that's why it looks good on like muscle cars when you have all these machine parts and they're black and they're anodized, Cerakoted, and everything. But we're getting to the point now where look at it looks great.
Well, there's that 1965
but I don't know if it looks great
Porsche
on
out there.
I don't know if it looks great on a 68 Camaro all the time. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Yeah.
It's a played out color for sure.
And before that it was like the guy would call and be like, I want it murdered out like Rob Dyrdek's SUV, you know? And
When did matte become a cool thing? Like matte and like satin finish?
I think matte's always been in since people got, all the traditional hot rods, not all of them, but I'm saying like a lot of hot rods back in the day were matte. And
like matte black is like this thing, you know?
Yeah, it looks...
I mean, that goes back to like, gosh, the Boydster, he did satin finish versions of that car, right?
I like satin, not matte.
Boyd only did Boyd. The interesting thing about Boyd, he only did red and yellow.
That looks so sick. Dude.
You want to see a good looking yellow car?
Okay,
type in Boydster too.
It's called a Boydster?
Boydster? Don't laugh. Don't laugh. That was one of the most influential cars of our time.
Boydster.
Still is.
True.
But this was the car that was at the background of the podcast you were talking on, right? With Steve Stroke.
No, that was the Illuma Coupe.
The Illuma Coupe.
Illuma Coupe, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it's all over there.
Like upper left yellow, right?
Upper left. Yep, that's it, yeah.
This is the Boydster.
So that car came out late 90s. I think I was still in high school.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proportions on that car are still amazing, though. Foose designed it. That was one of Foose's really good. So he did the Boydster first, which was the Highboy version.
This is like a resto mod version of American Graffiti of the 90s. This is resto mod 90s.
It's a very hot car, man. I know it looks dated now. It's still a very respected, like...
Look at the flames, dude. This guy's wearing New Balances going to Cars and Coffee on Sunday.
The thing is, you gotta remember, this is before you're born, dumbass. Yeah. So that
one's cool. I like that.
The level of importance.
Of course you do. It's a 3D rendering.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's what my eyes.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the Boydster revisited.
Looks better.
Yeah, that's not it. I mean,
Sean, you like the Plymouth Prowler, don't you?
Funny thing about the Plymouth Prowler, you know the story behind it, right?
It's a Chip Foose car, right?
Yes, I do like the Plymouth Prowler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy one, but so perfect example. Yeah, that was so when Chip went to Art Center, the same school I went to, there's your graduating project. You get to kind of do what you want. I think it was a sponsored project with Chrysler. For him, it was to design a niche vehicle for the muscle car and hot rod enthusiast market. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I don't even think it was that. I think it was design a vehicle for niche America market, but then he chose to create a vehicle for our industry that we work in. And that's when he came up with the Hemisphere. But then the Hemisphere actually ended up being the inspiration for the Prowler. Now, that's not to say that he word for word designed the Prowler. You got to talk to Chip about that. I know like a lot of guys at Chrysler and Chrysler Pacifica, and I think Kevin Verdun at the time.
Look at that one right there.
He was a great designer.
That's sick.
No, that's horrible. And so,
no, but it looks crazy though.
Yeah, but that's the problem right now is everything's like, that's crazy, but it looks like shit. But everything's shock and awe with your generation.
There is a lot of crazy.
And that's why, like, that's the biggest problem I have with like music's bad, fashion's bad. And it's like, well, it's different and it's crazy. And it's like, yeah, but you look like a fucking asshole.
But wasn't it like that in your guys' day? But like, wasn't like, Motley Crue was like, you're an asshole punk
dude. Motley Crue had some great songs. Like Guns N' Roses, ballads, and all that stuff. And
okay, like NWA at the time, that you're like, oh my god, these guys are gangsters. They're talking fuck the police, all this shit. And then you look at it later, and you're like, oh, but it's cool, you know. So like, don't you think my generation, like when we look at the crazy standoutish shit?
I mean, I don't want to start generation bashing, but I think in terms of design, I think it's a lot harder to do something beautiful and different versus doing something just different.
Yeah.
And and so that kind of goes
like back to that Ring Brothers truck, Enyo. Crazy, but still beautiful.
Crazy, but well, I mean, that's obviously like
some people don't like that car though.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's but I think it's aesthetically pleasing, but a lot of people who are traditionalists don't believe that. I think it's an amazing,
Yeah.
You are right though. My generation definitely is like a thumbnail ADHD where it's like if it doesn't look insane, you're not looking at it.
Well, it's not listen, nothing you personally and nothing with your but like I think with this the phone thing and the Instagram and it's just clickbait and trying to get people's attention. So we're going to do things super crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever it is to do. So the norm of like a beautifully well-proportioned car like the Aston Martin Vanquish doesn't cut it anymore. You know what I mean? It's just got to be crazy.
Yeah, you need a Lamborghini with the doors to go up.
Yeah, and
the
everybody's
wing
just
and
look at me. And but I also think that's going to start going away. And I think we've lived in a time of excessiveness. I think the 70s were definitely a time of excessiveness with, you know, I mean, music was pretty good, but I mean, people dressed crazy and there was a lot of crazy drugs.
There was green and purple cars,
everything
Dodge,
cars were bad. Like a lot of things were just bad. And then we pulled out of it. And I think, you know, 80s got ultra conservative during the Reagan years. I mean, obviously I was really young, so I can't speak from true experience, but looking back to what I think I know or from what I've heard.
I know, man. I lived.
I mean, yeah, Sean, you were like, what, 45 when 1982?
I was right here, buddy.
Like, yeah. I mean, you just, like, you
We got to
graduated.
be over now. We got to get this guy out of here.
We're
Right?
over
We
an
should just
hour,
wrap
yeah.
this
Yeah,
up.
I mean, they had like
Should get this done.
chariots and horses in high school.
you rode a horse to school?
Like, yeah. So
Are we wrapping this up?
These youngsters.
I know. I used to
No,
watch
I'm just kidding. Hey,
in my
wait
day,
a
we
minute.
watched Gunsmoke and
No, but there was some good. There was some extreme stuff in the 80s, man. It was
Cocaine.
so there's this little video going on right now of it's all the Camaros transforming.
Yeah, it shows it from how it started, and then it does
And
this
then the
AI
one that
morph
goes
thing.
the one that goes from the 70s to the IROC is like, I forwarded it to a few friends and they all said the same thing. And this is a great thing about social media is you could share things like this, but it was like, holy shit, from the 1977 edition to the IROC. I mean, when I was a kid and I saw IROC, I was like, let's go, dude.
Well, I remember
So
seeing one
cool.
too, and I'm young, dude.
So cool.
So cool. And like, you know, like I said, I don't want to go back to, it's just everything now has to be so excessively just done in poor taste just for the sake of being heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened in the 80s, though, for cars to go all boxy like that? Like, why what was up
Well,
with
traditionally, like when things go, here's the thing. There's like loopholes. It's like they go super round, and they go super boxy, and they go super round, and they go like when Jay Mays was at Ford, and he just left Audi. He did the TT, which is a very geometrical, iconic design, and everything was very geometrical, and then things started getting softer and more radiused, and like then it kind of got refined to the point where they did a little more fluid design, and then it gets so fluid that it goes back to being boxy again. And so that's what I'm saying, like the Ford Maverick and the Rivian and stuff like that. Things are getting a little bit more boxier, simpler, radiused. It's just very simple. I mean, me personally, that's what I like personally.
Yeah.
You like
I don't
the
think
box?
I don't think cars have to have 19 lines down the side of them.
Oh,
you know?
fuck, Sean. I just realized what I said. Sean loves to eat the box.
I mean, is there a problem with that?
So,
Well,
Yeah.
excuse me. I know it's kind of funny actually to get started doing this, and you can see how we could go for hours doing this.
sure. Right.
But we're trying to keep these in the hour plus range, I think, right? So maybe what we'll have to do. I mean, I know this, dude. Along the way, we'll have you keep coming back, you know, and I think it'll be fun for people that watch to get to know different guests of ours, and
Sure.
you know, we're such good friends. I mean, it'd be fun to just keep having you back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was great doing this. And like I said, you know, vote for Twisted GTO, Barrett Jackson
I
Gold
put in
Cup.
my vote for Twisted.
And then
No, it was
Building 4, Grand National Roadster Show, come say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in the booth next to right across from Gabe's.
I'm looking forward to seeing your booth. This is going to be fun, dude.
Yeah,
It's
like
gonna
I
be
said,
really cool.
Grand National, it's an old show, but it's like the Oscars for what we do. It's very
Yeah.
prestigious, and it's been around forever, and I like
Yeah.
where it's headed. So
Yeah.
be cool.
cool.
Right on,
That was-
brother. Well,
that was
thanks for
fun,
doing
man.
this with us.
Thanks for having me. I
Super
appreciate
cool. Awesome, brother.